This hour on WMNH is sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 5 Dartmouth Drive in Auburn. They serve all your business needs, including employee benefits planning, corporate design and business administration, investments and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. Their phone number is 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry, located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at queencitycabinetrynh.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Clemento's Pizzeria, family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria.
For delivery, call 603-782-8450.
Clemento's Pizzeria, the best pizza in town.
1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Best cocktails around.
Come in as friends and leave as family.
Come on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, 3 dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
You are listening to WMNHLP, Manchester's radio, broadcasting at 95.3 megahertz frequency modulation from the top of 1000 Elm Street. Our studios are located at 1045 Elm Street and licensed to Manchester Public Television Service in Manchester, New Hampshire, USA.
Los goodness of the biscuit. Taste the honey sauce.
Now that the Supreme Court
Taste the goodness of the biscuit with the honey sauce. Don't get that honey sauce on me. I don't like the way it tastes with my chicken wings. Taste the biscuit. Taste the goodness of the biscuit. Taste the butter spread. Taste the goodness of the biscuit with the butter spread. To get your butter spread all on me. I don't like the way it mixes with my mac and cheese. Cause when you're at KFC, you got that special sauce to stir my curiosity. Just give me a 5-piece meal, oh what a deal. A big old box, it's all for me. You know I'll take coleslaw on the side. I could tell you wanted to try the potato wedges. Taste the biscuit. Taste the goodness of the biscuit. Taste the honey sauce. Taste the goodness of the biscuit with the honey sauce. Get your honey sauce on me. I don't like the way it mixes with my chicken wings. You get none of that honey sauce on me. I don't like the way it tastes on my chicken wings. Take us out, Moose.
Taste the biscuit. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Here we go. It's that time again. Matt Connerton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious, glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. And it is another glorious day. I think it's supposed to be a nice weekend. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is Friday, October 28, 2022. So nice to have you with me today on this beautiful Friday. Like I said, it is nice out. It's a little cooler than it was yesterday, but it's still really nice. I bet tonight it will be chilly. But, of course, if you're listening online from some other part of the country or some other part of the world, none of this matters to you. But here we are enjoying some nice sunshine, which we well earned after days and days and days of dreary wet weather. So welcome. We've got a lot going on the program today. I'll tell you about all that in a moment. But before things really get rolling, if you'd like to get in with a call, 603-250-6007 is the number, 603-250-6007. You can text me at 617-917-4476. Hit me on social media at Matt Connerton, or send an email to matt@mattconnerton.com. And of course, you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat, and we will say hello to everybody in there in a moment. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007. So lots of fun and excitement and even potential shenanigans on the program today on this Friday afternoon. But I do want to remind you first, of course, we are proudly sponsored by the Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan at 1000 Elm Street, right across the street And they put this on social media because they've got a lot going on this weekend. Happy Halloween. Yeah, see what they did there? We're handing out candy until 6:30 tonight, and we've got all your craft beer and pretzel needs to go along with it. Live music from 7 to 9 this evening. Yes, Taylor O'Donnell is performing live tonight at the Hop Knot. Don't forget about the Witches Dance tomorrow at 3 p.m. and our annual Halloween party from 8 to midnight tomorrow with prizes for best costume and best karaoke from Two Share Brewing. So wonderful things going on at the Hop Knot, our amazing sponsor right across the street. But to me, the best thing, well, aside from the people, wonderful people that work there and that own it. But of course, there's the delicious gourmet pretzels. And I don't really drink the craft beer. I'm not much of a drinker, but I do know that the assortment is ever growing. But I do love the pretzels. So there is that. Now, today on the show, and actually not only on this show, but we have exciting things going on the station all evening. First of all, we've got coming up at 4:30. We're doing it a little earlier in the program than we usually do. At 4:30 will be this week's classic film review from our friend Eric Pilcher from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And it is the 1-year anniversary of Eric doing the classic film review for us on Fridays. So happy anniversary, Eric. And I am so glad that you are a part of the program here. And we do love your film reviews. It is a very popular segment on the program. And of course, for the month of October, because it is the spookiest month, we have Psycho is what Eric has reviewed this week. He's for the month of October, it's been all Alfred Hitchcock films. And this week he has chosen Psycho. So we look forward to that. So that will be coming up at 4:30. And then in the 5 o'clock hour, we will be joined by Otto Kinzel. He's going to be calling in. Otto Kinzel from the band Dust Prophet. And I did open with a Dust Prophet song, Dear Mrs. Bud. But the reason that Otto is calling in today, actually, a couple of reasons. First of all, today, my friends, is the world radio premiere of a track called Put to the Question, which is the brand new single from the band Dust Prophet. This has not been heard anywhere else on terrestrial radio until today. Until this afternoon, the song just came out, the single just came out, but we're going to be giving it a world radio premiere today, Put to the Question from the band Dust Prophet. But also, we're going to talk to Otto about Swarmy Fest, which is coming up November 5th at Jewel right here in Manchester, and Jenny and I will be there. We've been invited to participate in the show. I might get to interview some bands, maybe stream some of it online, but Swarmy Fest, it is headlined by Sepsis, and if you don't know Sepsis, they call their fan base the Swarm or Swarmies. So it's Swarmy Fest. It is Sepsis, and Dust Prophet will be playing there as well. So we will talk to Otto about that. Also on the show is Day to Attend, who is also going to be here with us next week, Wednesday of next week, for an in-studio acoustic performance. So we look forward to that. But we have much to discuss with Otto today. And I told him, I said, plan for 20 minutes, but we'll probably get to yapping. Because Otto, I've known Otto for a very long time. We've done a lot of work together in the music business, including we played together in a band called Chemical Distance. And so those were lots of great memories and a long association with our friend Otto Kinzel. So we look forward to that. So that will be coming up at 5 p.m. today. Of course, it is Friday, so immediately after this show is Granite State of Mind, hosted by the great Rob Azevedo. And then tonight, from 8 to 11 p.m., it is Retro Spectrum Radio with Paulie C. And speaking of anniversaries, not only is tonight the Halloween edition of Retro Spectrum Radio, it is the 2-year anniversary of Retro Spectrum Radio being live here on Friday nights on WMNH 95.3 FM. The show actually goes back quite a ways. It was at one time, just like this show, it was at one time a podcast. But a couple of years ago, Paul had the opportunity to bring the show to FM radio, and tonight marks 2 years of that. So that will be wonderful as well. Looking forward to that. Of course, I'm one of Paul's co-hosts on that show, along with our friends Dan Randall of Dan Randall and the Randlettes and DJ Steve. So that will be tonight from 8 to 11 p.m. So it is a very, very busy Friday. Also, I think, and I should look just quickly to make sure, but I believe DJ Reckless is performing live at the, I think tonight he's at the 603, back at the 603. Let me just make sure. It's hard to keep up with, even though I live with him, it's hard to keep up with everything that he's doing because he is so busy. Okay, this is, let's see, tonight, I'm bringing the vibes with my guy Sean White at the 603 Bar and Grill. Time to get spooky, and it is the official Halloween weekend jump off tonight at the 603 Bar and Grill, beginning I think at 9 p.m. And that's right up the street here at 1087 Elm Street in Manchester. So lots going on, lots of good stuff going on. Let me give the number again if you'd like to get in with a call, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. And I do want to say hello to everybody in the Facebook live chat, and then we'll probably get to a quick news story or two before our film review for this Friday. Jenny is in the chat and says, Shalom, peeps. Hello. Jenny says, I heard that Swarmy Fest is sold out. Oh, very possible. Very possible. Crystal in the chat room, our friend from Illinois, sent 200 stars. Thank you, Crystal. Appreciate that. And she also says shalom. Eric Pilcher, of course, is in the chat room and says, good afternoon, peeps. Melanie La Liberty from the great state of Vermont joins us and says, hey, guys. By the way, Melanie is still in it. She has advanced to the next round. We did it. She has advanced to the next round in the next Face of Horror. Melanie, feel free to, I already voted for you today, but feel free, as always, to drop the link into the chat room so everyone can vote. And, of course, with the next Face of Horror, you get one free vote per day, plus you can purchase additional votes. But you can vote every single day, which is nice. And that's what I do, and I hope I think we're all doing that, and that's why we're able to help Melanie do so well in this. So Crystal in the chat room says, how can anyone not like big pretzels? Exactly. Agreed. All right, let's get into, well, I suppose we should touch on some big news today that was kind of shocking. Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, violently assaulted in their home. The AP reports, and there's a little bit of an update from when the story first broke. I heard it first thing this morning. I said, oh, my God. And I don't know if this update will include anything about the suspect, but my first thought, and again, I hope I'm wrong. I mean, it could just be, this could be a random thing, could be a burglary that went awry. There are a lot of things it could be. I learned an expression today on a talk radio show I was listening to that in medicine, they say sometimes a headache is just a headache. So applying that to this, this may just be a random incident. It might be someone who was mentally unstable, or it could be an act of a political violence, and I hate to think that's what it is. Were I a betting man, though, that's where I would put my chips. Gambling reference. I'm not a gambler, so I don't know if I'm even delivering that very aptly. But anyway, and I think unfortunately, I think we've entered an era in America where you're going to see a lot more political violence, unfortunately. Makes me very sad, actually, and it makes me very angry at the same time. But let's see what this says now. This is the latest from the AP. Intruder beat Pelosi's husband with a hammer in their home. This is the update posted within the last hour. It says here, an intruder attacked and severely beat House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband with a hammer in the couple's San Francisco home early this morning, while searching for the Democratic leader and chillingly shouting, "Where is Nancy? Where is Nancy?" Well, I think we have our answer. Probably some QAnon freak. During the insurrection that happened on January 6th, and yes, I use the term insurrection very deliberately. I know not everyone agrees that that's an appropriate term, but given that an insurrection is defined as a violent uprising against the government, duh. To be blunt, of course it's an insurrection. There's one point you can see in the video where these people were chanting Nancy, not chanting, but sort of like, in a sing-song way, in a very creepy way, Nancy, where are you? Or something like that, or come out, Nancy. So they were looking for her. And I have no doubt in my mind that if they had gotten to her, they would have killed her that day. So, maybe this is one of these brainwashed lunatics who thought he was going to finish what they couldn't get done on January 6th. I don't know. But the fact that he was shouting, "Where is Nancy? Where is Nancy?" That's a pretty good clue about what's going on here, right? Police were called to the home to check on Paul Pelosi at about 2:30 a.m. when they discovered the 82-year-old and the suspect, 42-year-old David DePape, or DePape? I guess it's DePape. I don't know why I care about saying this guy's name correctly to begin with, but both grabbing onto the hammer, said Police Chief William Scott. So it sounds like there was a struggle over the hammer. The intruder yanked it from Pelosi and began beating him before being subdued and arrested by officers. Oh my God. The speaker was in Washington, where she had been scheduled to appear with Vice President Kamala Harris at a fundraising event Saturday night for the LGBTQ group Human Rights Campaign, 11 days before congressional elections that had been filled with harsh, sometimes violent rhetoric. Pelosi canceled her appearance. The intruders' shouts in Pelosi's California home were an unsettling echo of the chants during the January 6, 2021 insurrection at the Capitol. I'm glad the AP also correctly uses the term insurrection. Completely appropriate term. Those were insurrectionists. I just want to be really clear, because I know it bothers some people. Some people like to call them rioters. Some people like to call them tourists who just got a little rambunctious. No, those were insurrectionists. Okay, I hope we're clear. Let's see. Yeah, so it's an echo of the chants during the insurrection at the Capitol when rioters trying to stop Joe Biden's election searched menacingly through the halls for the speaker. Police said a motive for Friday's intrusion was still being determined, but 3 people with knowledge of the investigation told the AP that DePape targeted Pelosi's home. Those people were not authorized to talk publicly about an ongoing probe and spoke on condition of anonymity. Police gave few details on the suspect or his motives, but the attack raised questions about the safety of members of Congress and their families. Threats to lawmakers are at an all-time high, almost 2 years after the Capitol insurrection. In the current midterm election campaigns, crime and public safety have emerged as top concerns among Americans. Paul Pelosi was severely beaten, suffering blunt force trauma after he was struck several times in the head. He was admitted to Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital for his injuries. The hospital confirmed his condition was not immediately available, but Pelosi's spokesman has said he would recover. Apparently, he is expected to make a full recovery. By the way, can I just say, too, about this guy, this DePape guy? I mean, how pathetic do you have to be that if it just seems so, like, to attack an 82-year-old man with a weapon. He couldn't even fight him with his fists, you know? He attacked an 82-year-old man with a hammer. How pathetic a person do you have to be for that to even be a thought in your head? You know, and look, we know where this is probably going, right? He probably is a QAnon freak. He's probably convinced the election was stolen, probably thinks that the Pelosi's are on the payroll of George Soros, and they're all in some sort of satanic blood drinking cult, and you know, hanging out at Comet Pizza in the basement with the kids and all that. Probably believes all of that, so he decided he was going to take matters into his own hands. But I mean, this is what the current political climate has wrought. This. We got some dark days ahead, especially when you consider that many of the candidates who are running, some of them who will win, most likely, still openly claim, the election was stolen, and there's all, and they push these conspiracy theories, and, I mean, don't get me wrong, please, in fairness, I know, I always feel I have to throw this in, so we're clear. I know there are many good Republicans, sane people who don't believe all the nonsense. But the problem is, I would say to those of you who fall into that category, you may not have noticed, or you're just not motivated to speak out against it or do anything about it. But the lunatics have taken over the asylum. And I wish there were more good, sane Republicans who would stand up to the nonsense instead of just enabling it by tacitly approving of it by just shrugging it off. Just a thought. We have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connerton Unleashed. Who's this?
It's John C. Hopwood.
Well, hello, John C. Hopwood.
For am I a communist or a collaborationist today? I'll let the audience decide.
Ooh, good policy. Yes.
Yes, from the mouths of babes. Obviously, the babes that have never contacted me after my many years, though, on the public airwaves.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Why do you? I was just thinking that maybe the guy was really PO'd. Gasoline. Have you seen gasoline here in New Hampshire? What happened, like overnight?
No, but I haven't fueled up my vehicle today. If I had, I might.
Yeah. Well, I can never fill mine up because I'd be hunted down, and put in debtor's prison.
Yeah.
I think that if they could make a profit from debtor's prison again, John Sununu, the Republicans would probably recreate it. But for some reason, I guess they make more money out of us bums being on the street.
I suppose so.
But gasoline's over $6 a gallon in California.
Yeah, I believe California is usually the most expensive state in the country when it comes to gas, and
always was.
Yeah,
even when it produces oil, has oil refineries.
So, do you think that maybe that's what? Are you saying that's what maybe sent him over the edge, and he blames Nancy Pelosi for the price of gas?
I don't know. I blame Nancy Pelosi for much of the bad fortune in my life, particularly the way she handled our breakup.
Yes, I know you were scorned.
I won't say I was devastated.
Yes,
but, she was significantly older, and she had yet to consolidate her power, so she didn't have as much money as she did when I knew her.
And the song that you performed about all of that on the show a couple of years ago was just, I still tear up just thinking of those lyrics, let alone the melody.
I blacked that out, as part of my trauma therapy.
No, it's on YouTube. But, yes.
It is?
Yes, I think, yeah.
No wonder why you only got 500 votes for Alderman at large.
Yeah.
But I think that, when you're talking about this, you have to remember that Charles Sumter, I dropped my phone onto the floor of my car, and I went to pick it up. Now I got what my mother of a different generation would have called a stitch in my side.
Oh, yes, I've had that happen, yes.
Yes, I had a afternoon with Easy G, who sends his love to the Matt Covington audience.
Very nice, very nice. How is Easy G?
He's doing fine.
Good, good.
He was very spry.
Yeah, actually, he messaged me and said he had a nice time hanging out with you.
I have a nice picture of him with balloons all around him that we'll post. But Charles Sumner was the senator from Massachusetts, and as we were taught in school, I don't know what schools everybody that is a proponent of critical race theory went to, but they taught us about the Civil War.
Well, Republicans will tell you they're teaching it in kindergarten.
They probably are, for all I know.
Yes.
But Charles Sumner was one of the few abolitionists, and he had denounced, I think, another senator, might have been from South Carolina, and like a day or so later, the senator's nephew, who was in the House of Representatives from the great state of South Carolina, the Pimento State. Yeah, the Pimento State. Went up to him and took a heavy cane and just started beating the Jesus out of him.
Wow.
And crippled him.
Jesus.
He almost died.
Wow.
And I also would remind you, my childhood hero was Robert F. Kennedy. I remember his brother, John F. Kennedy, as my president, and thinking of him as like a second father.
Yeah.
And I do not remember the assassination because I was 4 years old. I just turned 4. And I think my mother shielded me from it.
Oh.
But I loved Bobby Kennedy. I got to see. I didn't actually get to see him shot down, but I was following the primaries in the third grade, and I would tell the class about it the next day on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about violence. Man, you know, they used to shoot people dead. You know.
Sure.
That is and I've always contended that Trump, who some people say he was president, but I'm a disabled veteran with PTSD. Who knows? You know, I might just be in a fugue right now. Was Trump president of the United States?
I can confirm that. Yes, you are not in a fugue.
And somebody says that damn fool Joe Biden's president now. You can't tell me that's true.
Once again, no, I'm sorry. There is no fugue.
Are you sure that we haven't been taken over by Nordic aliens, or probably their competitors, the alien Greys?
Well, that could be.
There is a lot of rivalry between the two factions, which I think can be considered quite racist.
We could both be in some sort of alternate universe right now, for all we know.
And you know what? We'd probably be better off.
Maybe.
Rather than being in this universe.
Maybe gas is cheaper in the alternate universe. I don't know. Well,
yeah. Well, I'm just saying, violence has always been a big part of American culture.
Oh, sure, but that doesn't make this any less shocking. And unfortunately, I think with the current climate, we're going to continue to see. I mean, I'm worried about I'm worried about the midterms, and I'm worried about you're going to see all these, because Republicans don't concede anymore. That's done when they lose. So you're going to see a lot of Republicans who refuse to concede, and then their supporters will be riled up. And I think people are worried about 2024. I think in 2022, I think with these midterms, we're going to see some degree of violence, unfortunately.
Well, General Dan Bolduc, who's running for Senate in New Hampshire, has already said he knows the election's going to be stolen, and he said it again.
Right.
I think yesterday or the day before.
Right. See, that's the thing. That's actually become standard Republican dogma now. If you lose, it's because it was stolen. And so...
well, he hasn't lost yet.
Right, but he's doing the same thing that Trump did. Just like, or Carrie Lake in Arizona, she's playing this game, the Republican candidate for governor in Arizona. Well, yeah, I'll accept the results if I win. Or she says, I'll accept the results as long as it was a free and fair election. But we know what that means. And Trump normalized that, and now they all play that game. And so...
that is part of American history, but you have to go back 200 years for those type of brazen...
Yeah.
Brazen BS. Let's call it that.
We haven't seen this. We haven't seen this in my lifetime, so to me it's a bit shocking.
Well, we have seen it in your lifetime, unless you're some AI bot that was just created recently.
I could be an AI bot. I say to you, # John Hopwood.
Yes. But I tell you, where do we go from here, It looks like the Republicans are going to win both houses of Congress. It's like, we've been assuaging our fears by thinking, well, the Democrats, even if they are SOBs or whatever, at least they're going to retain the Senate, right?
Well, what is 538? And we in a minute we got to let you go because I got to get to Eric's film review.
It went down a point again.
So 538.
Now it's
yeah.
Now the Senate, the Democrats are down to 53%.
52%.
And the House, they went up to 82.
As of an hour ago, it's got for the Senate forecast is 52 Democrats, 48 Republicans.
I think that the tide's gone up. The Democrats. I saw this happen with Jimmy Carter in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, somebody that couldn't handle a foreign policy that led to very high oil prices. It's like, remember how I was raving, which is rare for me, you have to admit, when on before a microphone.
Right.
I was raving because my gas was $4. I was denouncing Biden and saying I wasn't even going to vote. Because, voting for a Republican to me would be like, your father becoming a Protestant or something.
Right. Or a Congregationalist.
That'd probably be more in his line.
That would be very shocking.
But
yes.
Yeah, but I'll just leave you with this. you can study about totalitarianism and the rise of totalitarianism in Europe between the two wars.
Mm-hmm.
And when people are feeling they're under such economic pressure that they don't know whether they're going to be what tomorrow is going to bring.
Mm-hmm.
We might not have got there just yet, but a month. I just went to the store shopping again. The prices are up.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite incredible.
Yeah.
A society fails. It's an axiom of political science when people can no longer plan on what's going to happen tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
I guess we're in the thing where it's a few months from now. But there's such great anxiety, and it boils over. People go out and lynch people. They engage in violence. They beat their wives or their children.
Yeah.
They call that, it's a homeostatic device to release pressure. And real demagogues are expert, like a Hitler, are at using that.
Yeah.
By me using the word Hitler, you might have been banned. No, they're getting rid of Hitler all over the internet, which is particularly frustrating to people that talk about.
Right. If you're having if you're having a history discussion, yeah, I know.
Right, because Stalin they don't like much either. But
yeah,
I guess he gets a little more leeway. But I'll just leave you with this: the Washington Post did a study of the people that were arrested at the rebellion, the insurrection, which, remember, I didn't use until these House hearings that will be canceled soon. Then we'll be having House hearings about, Nancy Pelosi conspired to create a riot.
Yeah, that's one of the...
seen those headlines?
Oh, yeah, that's one of the with the insurrection apologists. That's one of the things that, it was all Nancy Pelosi's fault, or it was all just a tourist event, or whatever else they... What else?
Yeah,
did they
we're
say?
going to. That will be.
Or it was the
hearings for the next 2 years.
Oh yeah, or it was the FBI's fault or whatever. But as long as they don't have to blame their messiah.
Yes, and but the Post did it. A lot of the people were middle class people, and they had recently undergone economic reversals.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing it. I saw this in 1980.
Yeah.
Everybody was thinking it was going to be Carter or Kennedy. Teddy Kennedy was going to be president. And you should have seen the tide go out in October. I mean, at least the press was different then.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of gave up on Carter because he was incompetent, conceived as incompetent. He wasn't an incompetent president. Whereas Biden, they've known for a long time.
Right.
And I think they can understand there are forces going on.
Right.
I mean, that affecting the world economy. But, welcome to the world of George Orwell in 1984. Right? I have no idea what's going to happen
I know.
in January.
Yeah. Well,
Except I'll still be poor.
Oh.
All right, Matt. Have a good second half hour. Don't let the black dog bite you in the behind. The black dog. That's what Winston Churchill called depression.
Depression. Yes.
He suffered from all his life.
Yeah. Absolutely. Doing my best. All right, John. Thank you for the call.
Okay. Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Always nice to hear from our friend John C. Hopwood. Well, what we're going to do now is, because it is Friday, we have Eric Pilcher's classic film review. We're going to go to that now because at about 5 p.m., we'll be joined by our musical guest today, Otto Kinzel from the band Dust Prophet. We're going to be doing the world radio premiere of Dust Prophet's new single, Put to the Question. And, of course, we're going to talk about Swarmy Fest coming up. But so we're going to do this a little bit earlier than we usually do, but that's okay because I'm very anxious to share it with you. I do love Eric Pilcher's classic film reviews, and it's a very popular segment on the show. For the month of October, Eric has been reviewing Alfred Hitchcock films, and this week it is probably the most famous of any of them, right? This is Eric's review of the film Psycho, very appropriate as we go into Halloween weekend. So here it is, and after this, we'll show some love to our amazing sponsors, and then we'll be back in hour number 2, numero dos, with Otto Kinzel from Dust Prophet. But here is Eric's review of Psycho.
Good afternoon. Here we have a quiet little motel, tucked away off the main highway, and as you see, perfectly harmless looking. when in fact it has now become known as the scene of the crime. This motel also has, as an adjunct, an old house, which is, if I may say so, a little more sinister looking, less innocent than the motel itself. And in this house, the most dire, horrible events took place. I think we can go inside because the place is up for sale, although I don't know who's going to buy it now. In that window on the second floor, the single one in front, that's where the woman was first seen. Let's go inside. You see, even in daylight, this place still looks a bit sinister. Now, it was at the top of these stairs that the second murder took place. She came out of the door there and met the victim at the top. Of course, in a flash, there was the knife, and in no time, the victim tumbled and fell with a horrible crash. I think the back broke immediately and hit the floor. It's difficult to describe the way that the twisting of the well, I won't dwell upon it. Come upstairs. Of course, the victim, or should I say victims, hadn't any conception as to the type of people they would be confronted with in this house, especially the woman. She was the weirdest and the most... Well, let's go into her bedroom. Here's the woman's room, still beautifully preserved. And the imprint of her figure on the bed where she used to lay. I think some of her clothes are still in this wardrobe. This was the son's room, but we won't go in there because his favorite spot was the little parlor behind his office in the motel. Let's go down there. This young man, you had to feel sorry for him. After all, being dominated by an almost maniacal woman was enough to drive anyone to the extreme of, well, let's go in. Well, I suppose you'd call this his hideaway. His hobby, as you see, was taxidermy. Crow here, an owl there. Now, an important scene took place in this room. There was a private supper here. And, oh, by the way, this picture has great significance because let's go along to cabin number 1. I want to show you something there. All tidied up. The bathroom. Well, they've cleaned all this up now. Big difference. You should have seen the blood. The whole, The whole place was, well, it's too horrible to describe. Dreadful. And I'll tell you, there's a very important clue was found here. Down there. Well, the murderer, you see, crept in here very slowly. Of course, the shower was on, there was no sound, and
one thing director Alfred Hitchcock cannot be accused of is being careful. His career was built on risks, both in making films and behind-the-scenes politics. However, following the success of his action-adventure caper, North by Northwest, he was set to take his biggest gamble yet. This time, he gambled everything on a novel about a boy and his mother. Released in 1960 and based off the novel by Robert Bloch, Psycho weaves the tale of Marion Crane, played by starlet Janet Leigh. A woman that, to run away with her married lover, steals $40,000 from her employer. While on the run, she stops at a sleepy roadside hotel and meets Norman Bates, Anthony Perkins in the role that caused him to be forever typecast, who runs the motel with his mother. These next two clips are of Marion and Norman talking. First, Norman explains his day-to-day operations at the hotel to Marion. Lost in this being an audio medium is the brilliant shot composition used by Hitchcock. Marion is in a quasi-dimly lit area, showing her being in the shadows. Norman is sitting, and on the wall behind him are mounted predatory animals that are looking at Marion, ready to strike. Then, in our second clip, we hear Norman become defensive over the suggestion of putting his mother in a home. I want you to think back to the first Hitchcock film we reviewed, Shadow of a Doubt, when we heard Uncle Charlie talk about single women. Here, the same disgust and disdain Norman has in his voice that Uncle Charlie had in his.
Is your time so empty?
No. Well, I run the office and tend the cabins and grounds and do little errands for my mother, the ones she allows I might be capable of doing.
Do you go out with friends?
Well, a boy's best friend is his mother. You've never had an empty moment in your entire life, have you?
Only my share.
Where are you going? I didn't mean to pry.
I'm looking for a private island.
What are you running away from?
Why do you ask that?
No. People never run away from anything. The rain didn't last long, did it? You know what I think? I think that we're all in our private traps, clamped in them, and none of us can ever get out. We scratch and claw, but only at the air, only at each other. And for all of it, we never budge an inch.
Sometimes we deliberately step into those traps.
I was born in mine. I don't mind it anymore.
Oh, but you should. You should mind it.
Oh, I do. But I say I don't.
You know, if anyone ever talked to me the way I heard, the way she spoke to you.
Sometimes, when she talks to me like that, I feel I'd like to go up there and curse her and leave her forever. Or at least defy her.
Now, Norman talks about his mother.
You understand? I don't hate her. I hate what she's become. I hate the illness.
Wouldn't it be better if you put her someplace?
You mean an institution? A madhouse? People always call a madhouse someplace, don't they? Put her in someplace.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean it to sound uncaring.
What do you know about caring? Have you ever seen the inside of one of those places? The laughing and the tears, and the cruel eyes studying you. My mother there. But she's harmless. She's as harmless as one of those stuffed birds.
I am sorry. I only felt... It seems she's hurting you. I meant well.
People always mean well. They cluck their thick tongues and shake their heads and suggest oh so very delicately. Of course, I've suggested it myself. But I hate to even think about it. She needs me. It's not as if she were a maniac, a raving thing. She just goes a little mad sometimes. We all go a little mad sometimes. Haven't you?
This film throws many curveballs at the viewer throughout. The stolen money becomes a red herring, so to speak. It is an afterthought once we meet Norman. That is through the performance of Perkins. He was so good at this role. He became typecast and even portrayed Norman in the sequels, which are nowhere near the quality of this film and should only be watched if you're an obsessive compulsive completist like myself. In our next scene, hear Norman carry a bevy of emotions when speaking to Detective Arbogast regarding Crane. He goes from calm to nervous to defensive and even finds a way to combine these emotions in such a short period of time.
Listen, if you don't believe me, come on with me. You can help me change bets, okay?
Okay. Oh, no thanks.
Change your mind? You know, I think I must have one of those faces you just can't help believing.
Is anyone at home?
No.
Oh, there's somebody sitting up in the window.
No, there isn't.
Oh, sure, go ahead, take a look.
Oh, that must be my mother. She's an invalid. It's practically like living alone.
Oh, I see. Now, if this girl, Marion Crane, were here, you wouldn't be hiding her, would you?
No.
Not if she paid you well?
No.
Let's just say just for the sake of argument, that she wanted you to gallantly protect her. You'd know that you were being used, that you wouldn't be made a fool of, would you?
But I'm not a fool.
Well,
and I'm not capable of being fooled, and not even by a woman.
Well, this is not a slur on your manhood, I'm sorry.
Let's put it this way. She might have fooled me, but she didn't fool my mother.
Well, then your mother met her. Could I talk to your mother?
No, as I told you, she's confined.
Yes, but just for a few minutes, that's all. There might be some hint that you missed out on. You know, sick old women are usually pretty sharp. Can I just,
Mr. Arbogast,
I wouldn't disturb her.
I think I've talked to you all I want to.
Yes, but
so,
just for...
I think it'd be much better if you left now. Thanks.
Well, all right. You sure would save me a lot of legwork if you let me talk to her. Would I need a warrant for that, too?
Sure.
All right. Thanks anyway.
This film had its fair share of controversy when it was released. From the famous shower scene to the reveal of Norman's mother, this film still terrifies and shocks to this day. As a matter of fact, upon the film's release, Alfred Hitchcock made theaters agree to not allow anyone to be a late entrant into the film Psycho. Reason being, he wanted the viewer to see the whole film so they could be truly shocked at the end. Needless to say, he achieves this. Hitchcock put his life savings on the line to make this film. He mortgaged his home. That's how much he believed in turning this book into a movie. It has an ever-reaching influence that cannot be matched. From Silence of the Lambs to Friday the 13th to many other suspense films, mystery films, and yes, even horror. This film's influences can be seen in so many ways, both in television, film, and even the stage. As I mentioned earlier, this film has spawned 3 sequels, a remake, and the smash television hit series Bates Motel, which is a prequel to this film. The making of this film was even depicted in the film called Hitchcock, where Anthony Hopkins masterfully played the director. This is one of the greatest horror films of all time, and would leave a lasting impression on the most jaded film viewer today, as it did when it was released in 1960. Before I sign off, I would like to thank all of you for your support of Classic Film Reviews. This is the 1-year anniversary of the program, and it does not happen without your support. I truly do love my extended WMNH family, and enjoy all of you, your kind words and suggestions, even your playful joshing. I only hope that you enjoy this program as much as I enjoy making it. I hope to continue for many more years, or as many as Matt will allow me to. I hope you join me next week when, in honor of Veterans Day, we will look at Michael Cimino's The Deer Hunter. To close, we are finally going to hear from Norman's mother. This scene wrapped up the film Psycho. For WMNH and Matt Connerton Unleashed, this has been a Classic Film Review with Eric Pilcher.
It's sad when a mother has to speak the words that condemn her own son, but I couldn't allow them to believe that I would commit murder. They'll put him away now, as I should have, years ago. He was always bad, and in the end he intended to tell them I killed those girls and that man, as if I could do anything except just sit and stare, like one of his stuffed birds. Well, they know I can't even move a finger, and I won't. I'll just sit here and be quiet, just in case they do suspect me. They're probably watching me. Well, let them see what kind of a person I am. I'm not even gonna swat that fly. I hope they are watching. They'll see, and they'll know, and they'll say, why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
Come on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, 3 dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry. located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at QueenCityCabinetryNH.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Clemento's Pizzeria, family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria.
For delivery, call 603-782-8450.
Clemento's Pizzeria, the best pizza in town.
1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Best cocktails around.
Come in as friends and leave as family.
This hour on WMNH is sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 5 Dartmouth Drive in Auburn. They serve all your business needs, including employee benefits planning, corporate design and business administration, investments and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. Their phone number is 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
WMNH, rip the knob off.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's Matt Connerton Unleashed here on WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, and Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. We are well in hour number 2, and our old friend Otto Kinzel is on the line. Hello, Otto.
Hello, Matt. Can you hear me? Am I coming in clearly?
Absolutely. You sound great. It's been a while.
Thank you. I'm very nervous about the quality of my speaking voice. So knowing that I sound great, really, that's what I needed to get me through the end of the day.
Well, you have you've always had a kind of a deep voice. Have you ever thought about getting into voiceover work, voice acting?
I have. I just can't find the right role for me. I'm trying to, play passionate young princesses and dames in distress,
Yeah.
Dames in distress, like maybe they've been tied to some railroad tracks by a guy in a black hat and a crazy mustache, and they need someone to rescue them. And
yes,
not a lot of those roles are kicking around.
No, and it's a shame. But yes, it is wonderful to speak with you. I do. It's funny. Your name does come up on the show occasionally because you and I played in a band together at one time, Chemical Distance. And every once in a while, I'll play Red Queen's Race on the show, and I always tell.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I always tell people that was our big hit song. Although no one seems to remember it, it's odd. But I tell them no, it was a big hit. No, but we did get some.
We were huge in South Dakota for a little while, and that's kind of people seem to forget that.
Yeah, South Dakota and promoters in South Dakota. The other thing that people don't know is, they were just throwing bags of money at us to go and do a tour there, but we just could never quite work it out logistically. And it's unfortunate for South Dakota, but those are great memories. And but you've been in a bunch of bands, but Dust Prophet, which seems to be, how long has this band been going? This has been a number of years now, right? That you've been in Dust Prophet?
Yeah, we started in 2018.
Okay.
So lucky us, it was like we started and we were getting things going. We played some shows. It was late 2018. So really, you meet people, it usually takes a few months of jamming with different people before you find the right parts and the right musicians and the right songs. So it was really about 2019 when we got going, like mid 2019, and then the pandemic happened and everything went on the back burner. And it's really only been since early 2020, early last year, that we kind of were able to get back out and start over again.
And it's a 3-piece, correct? That's a trio?
Correct. It's myself on guitar and vocals, Sarah, who have you ever met Sarah Wappler? I feel like we've crossed paths maybe after Chem D when I was doing Fiends.
Yeah.
Because I came on your show a couple of times.
Right. I don't remember meeting her.
Okay. I think you guys have. I just can't place it. And then our drummer is Tyler McPherson. And actually, starting next Saturday with the show at Jewel, we're expanding to a 4-piece. We have a live guitar player.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Jason Stelf, who did the mixing and mastering on our album, is actually going to fill in as an extra guitar player live. I'm going to try and maybe focus a little bit more on the vocals live and also like some additional hand drums and percussion, stuff like that. So.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Does he now, he mixed and mastered the music or he produced it or what?
Yeah. So we did all of the hard tracking in my home studio, and I did all the engineering essentially. So
yeah,
and then after all the tracking was done, I did most of the track editing and other stuff. And we got Jay to do the mixing initially because we just wanted an outside opinion. It got to the point where I had started mixing, and it's a song you've already listened to 1,000 times between practice and playing it live, and just take after take of tracking, whether it's drums or bass or guitar or whatever. So we wanted to bring in somebody that had a completely objective opinion, somebody that would be able to listen to it with honest and fresh ears. And Jay came in and did that. And then we had initially it was being mastered by a different studio. We had some problems, and it didn't work out, so Jay was able to jump in and save the day, and so now he's... And I think you have met him before. Do you remember when I was in Worm Drive?
Yes. Oh, vividly. Yeah, I think that's the band you were in when you and I first met, correct?
Yes. You were doing My Life Crisis.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. So Jay was the guitar player from Worm Drive, and we kind of reconnected maybe a year and a half ago. He did some mixing for a couple of solo songs that I put out. Again, I wanted somebody that can be objective and outside opinion, who understood the music, but would be able to give it honest attention and not be biased by if it was me doing it. The old joke is you can tell which band member mixed the music by which instrument is loudest.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I didn't want. So
right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, when you've listened to the same thing so many times, and it's almost I've heard some people describe this phenomenon where you almost begin to hear things that aren't even there because your imagination starts to fill in some of the blanks of what you're listening to, and it's a strange thing. So no, that makes sense. And of course, you've always, I mean, for as long as I've known you, you've always been. I mean, have you ever really had any project where you had someone else doing the engineering part, you're recording the tracks, or because it seems like like in Chemical Distance, that was all done at your. I remember the basement where you used to live, where you had everything set up there.
When the first house we had when we used to live, I guess I can say since I don't live there anymore, but when I lived in Raymond,
Yeah, I mean...
I'm sorry, what was the question? Have I ever recorded at another studio, do you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, I did very early on. So when I was in college, and I, get a couple of college bands here and there, we went to... That was my first time being in a proper studio. It was a studio out in Moultonboro, New Hampshire. I went to Plymouth State.
Yeah.
And that was the first time, and it was kind of eye-opening. I remember being really nervous. Then again, I was also like 18, and I knew time was money, and it was going to cost all this money that none of us had. So it was like, all right, can we record 7 songs in 4 hours? And then we very quickly learned that wasn't going to happen. So we're like, all right, let's do like 3. And try and go from there.
Yeah.
And I had been in actually Worm Drive, had a chance to go record down in Springfield, Mass for like 3 or 4 days. And so I do have some experience recording in outside studios. For me personally, I always end up feeling like I can't really be free. It's always in the back of my mind. If you screw this up, that's another take. It's going to be more money. It's more pressure to get it, to get it done so you're not bleeding money out the window. And I have always just wanted to be able to feel comfortable and do as many takes as I want, whether it's guitar or vocals, and do as many overdubs as I want, play around with different effects and do it in real time, because sometimes that creates inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's tough to do when you're paying, but when you can kind of control the narrative and you're doing it all yourself, then, it costs money in a different way, but
right.
At least not by the hour, so to speak. So
yeah,
I've always sort of leaned to that, and when I moved into our first house in Raymond, and you and I started jamming with Michael, that's where I started building the home studio, and I refined it, and now I've had a chance to do it for a third time, and in where we live now, the basement was completely unfinished, so I could build it literally from the studs up. And
oh, cool!
It was fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's we're fortunate. We live in a time where it's obviously over the years the technology just continues to improve, and you can do more and more than you could before in a home studio, any kind of a home studio setup, and it's wonderful to. I mean, I assume for you, from your perspective, the process has probably changed somewhat over the years. I would imagine, right? Just with the
well, I don't know if you remember in the original studio, I had that big casting couch. I think you actually fell asleep on it one time by accident. So anyway, I started off. I think I was a junior in high school when I got. Do you remember the old Tascam 4-tracks in like the mid to late 90s, and you literally put like a recording cassette tape inside of it? Do you remember that?
Oh, vividly. I had one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So same here. And then I think I was a junior in high school. I got the 8-track version.
Yeah.
The Tascam 8-track, you could still only record 4 tracks at a time, but now you had the other 4 tracks or bouncing and overdubs or, whatever, And I remember being so psyched and having that. And it's funny to look back now, because it's kind of like talking about how you felt when you first got a Walkman.
Right.
Cassette tape. And then, but the idea of getting reel-to-reel or anything like that big studios were using, and that was the thing, being in the studio in Moultonboro, going down to Springfield, Mass. to record, they were all analog doing reel-to-reel.
Oh, wow.
It's like that was completely out of the question. And then I remember getting the first digital 16-track, and then as technology has moved, it's just becoming much more affordable to get high-quality home recording equipment, as long as you are willing to spend the money and put into work to make the room you're recording in really good acoustically.
Mm-hmm.
The actual hardware of it and some of the software is relatively affordable. To have that like a professional studio in the mid-90s, you had to have a ton of money,
mm-hmm.
and the equipment was not nearly as accessible or learnable as it is today.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And now, since we were in Chemical Distance together, so what you had you had a couple of bands before this one, right? Before Dust Prophet?
Yeah. So I was thinking about it. I think I first met you. I was in Black Eye Susan. It was the techno industrial. Yeah. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
That's where I first ran into you when you were doing My Life Crisis, and I don't remember. That's a long time ago. That might be like 20 years ago, Matt.
I know. It's I know. It's incredible. It's and time goes
20
by.
Years ago.
Time goes by quicker as we get older. Have you noticed that? It really sucks. It's really.
Believe me, you're preaching to the choir. It's funny. We're still talking. We're still doing stuff. And we're still both involved just in the same sort of universe. But, it's like we're both a little older, a little grayer, in my case, a little bit fatter, it's kind of, I think I've already peaked. So.
But yeah, you've been in quite a few bands, and that's why I took notice too with Dust Prophet, because I know some of the projects that you've done, have been just kind of, not that long, because you've always had a lot of, I guess for the 20 years now that I've known you, I mean, you've always had a lot of energy, and you like to you've got multiple musical projects going at once. But what is it about Dust Prophet that, like I said, 4 years? I mean, you've been really committed to this band. You've put out a lot of great material. What is it about Dust Prophet that is? Absolutely. What is it about Dust Prophet that has caused you to really because it doesn't look like this is slowing down, right? Like you're gonna stick with this band, I think.
Ramping up, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is ramping up. We have a full-length album, our debut album. It's going to come out the very end of January 27th. Actually, pre-orders for it are going to start on Sunday. And we're going to have it, digital download. We're going to have CDs. We are in the process of also getting vinyl printed.
Cool.
What made me sort of latch on to Dust Prophet, I have so much more of a emotional connection to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, the struggle to get this thing. So after Fiends broke up, Fiends of a New Republic, that's the first band I played in with Sarah.
Oh.
And that was, at that point, I was sort of, I'd been doing like industrial music and industrial electronic metal for a long time. And I just sort of got sick of using backing tracks and having to have some of the synth stuff on stage. And, even though we never had a major incident as far as like a tech breakdown, we had played some shows where other bands did, and it always put the fear of God into me.
Yeah.
Sarah was sort of transitioning from being primarily a keyboardist to playing guitar and bass, and she really embraced wanting to play bass. And she always loved the slower stoner rock, stoner metal type bands that had really groovy riffs and were just focused on the groove and the riff and not necessarily brutality or like technical finesse the way, I've been in some technical metal bands where it was like, how crazy can you play and how many different off-time things do you have? And even one of the projects I did, Skin Drone, was all about like brutal extreme metal.
Mm-hmm.
This was something that really, I'd never really embraced it before. So we started writing like stoner riffs, and she's in the band probably like, she's the majority of the music writer. She writes the majority of our riffs and all that. So it just was like, it took so long to get it, and we went through so many obstacles. At some point, I think I remember both of us kind of be like, this is never going to happen. Let's just move on to something else. And that's when we found Tyler, and he tied it all together and made it happen. And then, through COVID and all the other things, for a while it seemed like we were never going to play a show.
Yeah.
And like I was never going to play another live show because we didn't know what was happening in the world.
Yeah.
So when we finally got to it, just was like, I think it was one of those things where I took it for granted when I was in it.
Yeah.
Post-pandemic, it's really changed my perspective, especially as a father with, trying to show that to both of my kids.
Mm-hmm.
That, without being morbid about it, tomorrow's not guaranteed. You got to embrace today and really do it. It's one thing to say it. It's something I've been trying to actually do, though.
Yeah, I hear you. No, I get that. Absolutely. Yeah, no, this is...
and you mentioned a lot of... I have been in a lot of bands and released a lot of stuff, but a lot of those were like one-off projects. I mentioned Skin Drone.
Yeah.
That was strictly just something we did as a one-off. The guy that I recorded the album with lives in, I think he was living in Arkansas at the time. So, I was recording stuff up here, emailing him WAV files and whatnot, and he'd record his vocals and send them back here and
wow, okay.
stuff like that. There were other projects that were just kind of these one-off things. So it was Black Eye Susan and Worm Drive is where you and I worked together the most. And then after that, it was a long break before I put out the, we did Chem D, and then I put out the Zodiac album. So.
Oh, yes. I think I remember interviewing you for that.
Yeah, you did. You definitely did. I would have milked that for all I was worth. Like, Matt, hey, can I come on your show like 2 or 3 times?
No, that was a really cool project. Yeah. So you have done a lot of, like I said, that's why I'm so interested in the way Dust Prophet, you seem to be really in this for the long haul, and I think it's so cool. I love the sound. I've played I'm going to play Hourglass later probably. I love I love that track. I've played that a couple of times, and Dear Mrs. Bud, and it's appropriate too for Halloween, these songs, and of course today we're going to do the world radio premiere of the new single. But we should also mention too, and you brought it up earlier, actually we should circle back to that, November 5th at Jewel, And I will.
Oh yeah, it's
I'm
gonna
gonna
be awesome.
I'm gonna be there. Jenny and I will be there representing, and William from Sepsis invited us to participate, and I think we might be introducing a couple of the bands or something. Well, I have to talk with him about details. We got to figure that out. Actually, we got to figure that out soon. It's only a week away now. But
Yeah,
so,
well, if you want to introduce us, I'd be honored. It'd be awesome.
Oh wow!
And,
that would be.
I'm. Yeah, we're very excited. We're very fortunate that Sepsis, asked us to look into it and to be included on it. I saw that they were putting something together, and I think I had contacted William back in I want to say it was like midsummer, maybe July.
Yeah.
And they thought we'd be a good support act, which we're very grateful for. We're psyched to be playing it, and the whole bill is stacked. When you look at,
yeah.
1620 and Trawl and Day to Remember and Trading Tombstones. I mean, it's like from top to bottom. It's everybody's awesome.
Day to
we're already
attend.
like, oh man, we have to really bring it because otherwise,
Yeah.
we don't want to get, we don't want to look like the odd man out, like the weak band. So we gotta bring it with the stage energy. But it's cool. It's going to be a super fun night, and I am eternally grateful that Dust Prophet gets to be part of it. It's super awesome. This will probably be our last show of the year unless a couple other things trickle in, but we have a lot going on, a lot of stuff we have to work on.
Mm-hmm.
So having some time off just to focus on, the new stage show now that we're going to have a live guitarist, and how are we going to incorporate additional percussion, and how are we going to, expand this thing, and we have more songs and some covers, and it's like there's only so many hours in the day. So
right.
I think playing Swarmy Fest to end the year would be awesome. Finally getting to play in Manchester and with so many other awesome bands. It's going to be an epic night.
Yeah, you mentioned Day to Attend. They're going to be here next week. They're coming in on Wednesday. They're going to do an acoustic performance.
I saw that. I'm definitely going to tune in for that. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I've interviewed Jeff Richards a couple of times over the years when he was in Eden's Lie. That band, he was in that for a really long time. I'm surprised they're not. I mean, they might have been around for 20 years. My God, but I really like Day to Attend. They're really good band. So that'll be a lot of fun. So that's Jewel at. That's at Jewel on November 5th. And Jenny had said in the chat room, she saw something about it being sold out already.
It might be. I mean, so far it looks like it's getting pretty crazy with the attendance, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting. It's pretty cool. Again, I mentioned it's going to be a great show. If this is our final show of the year, and it's one hell of a show to end 2022 on. It's
Absolutely.
incredible. I'm just so excited to be a part of it. And so we all are. We're very excited to be a part of this. It's going to be an awesome gig. Really looking forward to seeing all the other bands.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun and going to be one hell of a way to end the year.
Definitely. And what do you want us to know about this? So we've got a new track here that we're going to be debuting on the show in a moment. Put to the question. What should we know about this, Otto? Anything you want us to know about this before we play it?
No, I mean, it's most of my lyrical themes. If you look at the different songs we have, there's a lot of stuff about, I hate to bring up, it's Dear Mrs. Budd, it's about Albert Fish, but we don't write a lot about serial killers. That's just one particular subject matter that interests me. But, I read a lot of Southern Gothic fiction. I love Flannery O'Connor. She's probably one of my all-time favorite authors. Good Man is Hard to Find, and Wise Blood, and all those sorts of things that heavily influences the lyrical tone. And so Put to the Question sort of comes from that same sphere of influence. It's sort of a little bit about the Inquisition, but not really. It's kind of back then, if you were a holy person who was also being accused, that was referred to as being put to the question, and then that's when they would do horrible tortures to get you to admit through excruciating pain that you were guilty of whatever it is you were guilty of. So,
gotcha.
But other than that, this is a song I think 95% of it Sarah wrote. Again, she's our primary riff writer. So if there's Dust Prophet riffs you like, she's certainly and most likely the one that was the mastermind behind them, and it just sort of all came together.
Cool. And you write all the lyrics, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool. I've heard the track and I really love it. I'm looking forward to sharing it with everybody. And this is available today online, correct? This was just released today.
Absolutely. Yep. Go right to our Bandcamp, dustprophet.com, and get it right there. It's available. Pay what you want.
Yep.
You can download it for free if you want. So we
yeah,
just want to get it out there. It's just a way to hopefully gain a few more fans and get a few more people to notice us before the album drops end of January.
excellent. And we look forward to. We'll have to have you back on to talk about that too when the time comes for the album. But Otto, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. We'll let you go, and then I'm gonna play the track. Put to the question, the world radio premiere, as we like to say, right here on WMNH. But Otto, it is wonderful to talk with you, my friend. We must do it more often. Obviously, we've known each other a long time, and it's always a pleasure. And you are someone, not to get sappy, but you're someone I admire because you've done so many different things musically, and your talent and everything. And having gotten to be in a band with you was a lot of fun too. So I really appreciate this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you on November 5th at Jewel. That'll be a lot of fun.
Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate you saying that. But I'm only as I don't think there's anything particularly great about me. I mean, we played in the band together, and there was three of us, and you were an equal member of what contributed to what happened to any good songs we had. And so, I mean, it takes probably why most of my stuff that I do strictly on my own probably isn't that great. I think I'm more born to work with other people. That sort of, and I need other people to help me do what I do. So, yeah, man, you're always a part of that.
Oh, thank you.
We had a lot of fun, and absolutely, man. I look forward to seeing you in person.
Yeah.
Next Saturday the 5th at Stormy Fest, and we can certainly reminisce. And I think Michael will be there as well, so
cool.
Maybe we could have an impromptu Chem D reunion. We'll just have to learn a song. So
that's right.
Maybe Red Queen's Race.
I think I remember the bass line. Very good.
I don't remember anything about it. I barely even remember the song itself, so I'll have to go back and listen to it.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, we'll let you go, and I'm going to play the song. Otto, thank you so much again, my friend, and we'll see you soon.
All right, you got it, buddy. Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. All right, that is our friend Otto Kinzel from the band Dust Prophet, and here it is. This is the brand new track, just came out today. This is the world radio premiere of Put to the Question, the brand new single from Dust Prophet, and we'll come back for our final segment right after this, but check this out. Here it is, Dust Prophet, Put to the Question.
to know your pain. He needs to feel your anguish so that he knows he's right. tires. Got the man that has done. He only wants the truth. Got the man that has done. Only your scream will do. He wants to hear your lie. Come dance with me. He wants to know your pain. Through eternal fire. To feel your anguish. He's long and glad. He knows he's right.
All right, there you have it. The world radio premiere of Put to the Question, the brand new single from Dust Prophet. And thank you again to my friend Otto Kinzel for joining us today on the program. I really enjoyed that discussion. I'll get to see him in person on November 5th at Jewel for Swarmy Fest, which is, of course, headlined by the band Sepsis. Also, Dust Prophet will be performing live, and I guess I'm introducing them when they go up for their set. Otto invited me too, so that is a wonderful honor. I enjoy that. I got to do something like that last weekend at down the street at Angel City Music Hall with Edgewise, and that was a lot of fun. I'd forgotten how much I like being on stage. It had been a long time since I love. This is my favorite thing, to come in here and sit behind a microphone and do this and speak with all of you. But to be on stage and actually see everybody and get to do something is fun too. So, but so it's Sepsis, Dust Prophet will be there. Day to Attend also performing at Swarmy Fest on November 5th. And Day to Attend, by the way, will be here in studio with me on Wednesday of next week. And they're going to bring a couple of acoustic guitars, do a little acoustic set for us. And we're going to talk. We're going to catch up on things, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So lots going on. Of course, if you missed it earlier in the show, we had Eric Pilcher's classic film review. And this week, the subject was the Alfred Hitchcock film Psycho. And of course, if you missed it, it will be up and available in the archive shortly after we get done today on the program at WMNHradio.org and at my website, mattconnerton.com. But today, the 1-year anniversary of Eric becoming a part of our show every Friday with his classic film reviews. So happy anniversary, Eric, and we love having you a part of what we do here. So thank you so much, and looking forward to many more years, hopefully. God willing, as Otto pointed out, tomorrow is not promised, but we'll hope for the best in the world in which we live, right? Speaking of anniversaries, want to remind you, tonight from 8 to 11 p.m., of course, Retro Spectrum Radio with Paulie C. And I have the privilege of, Friday's my long day here at WMNH, and I love it. Tonight, we will be celebrating the 2-year anniversary of Retro Spectrum Radio right here on WMNH. And of course, I'm one of Paulie C's co-hosts on that show, along with Dan Randall of Dan Randall and the Randlettes and DJ Steve. So that will be tonight from 8 to 11 p.m. live here at WMNH. Of course, on Fridays, we're immediately followed at 6 p.m. by Rob Azevedo with Granite State of Mind, and then Retro Spectrum Radio from 8 to 11. I think starting in November, Rob is going to be coming back and doing the show live here in studio. Throughout the summer and into the early part of fall, Rob has been recording the show every week at the barn there, Pembroke City Limits. At the venue that he opened on his property and doing the show there, recording it there. But I think, obviously, the cold weather's coming. Not here quite yet. We've had a couple of very nice days, actually. But the cold weather's coming, and I think Rob is going to be returning to the nice, toasty confines of the studio here at WMNH for his program for the winter months. But so that I think that starts next week. Actually, I think he had told me in November he was coming back here. But regardless, you can hear his program at 6 p.m. immediately following this show. Let's see. We also want to mention, of course, don't forget our amazing sponsor, the Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan at 1000 Elm Street, right across the street. They've got those delicious gourmet pretzels. They have an assortment of craft beer, and they have a lot going on this weekend. And they've got live music tonight. Taylor O'Donnell performing there live from 7 to 9 p.m. And, of course, they've got things going on tomorrow to celebrate Halloween. which is actually on Monday. Monday is the 31st, Halloween. And DJ Reckless, also some live music right up the street at the 603 Bar and Grill. DJ Reckless is over there from, I think, probably 9 to 1 a.m. I'm not sure the exact times, but so plenty to do, lots going on. And before we run out of time, if you'd like to get in with a call today, 603-250-6007 is the number, 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. Tweet me at Matt Connerton or send an email to matt@mattconnerton.com. And of course, you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007. By the way, I do see our friend Charles Richardson in the Facebook live chat. Charles from the great state of Florida and, of course, host of the Charles Richardson Show. And I think, I forget if it's tonight or Monday that they're doing the Halloween party on the Charles Richardson Show. They've got a costume contest they did last year, and Charles mentioned the other day they were doing it again this year, but I forget if it was because Charles is on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I forget. I mean, Monday is Halloween technically, but it might be a Friday night thing. If you want to clarify that, Charles, in the chat. I cannot remember which night you're doing that, but that's very cool. Yeah, Charles is on his show streams Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 10. It is tonight. Yeah, so if you'd like to submit an entry into the costume contest, make sure you send that to Charles. You can do that right on social media. Or what's the email address, Charles? Is it charles@rawtalkonline.com? I probably don't have it right. If you want to drop that in there too, Charles, I'll read that out to people who want to participate. We also have, let's see, here's a new name in the chat room, Archer Flight. Archer Flight says, "Hi, hashtag Charles Richardson. Good afternoon. We say to you from us. We say awesome, hashtag Matt." We say our friend Isaac Banks went to fall dance at Lindley Recreation Center at Holden Road in Greensboro, North Carolina. Hashtag Matt, we say another pop singing group is performing is W Subaru for the fall festival as well. We listen to Hourglass by Squeeze, hashtag Matt. Well, I was referring to Hourglass by Dust Prophet, their Archer Flight. But Archer Flight says, hashtag Matt, we are performing for the At Fall Festival. Hashtag Eric Pilcher, we say you're welcome from us. Oh, because Archer Flight previously had said, hashtag Eric Pilcher, we will say to you, awesome. Because people were complimenting Eric on the classic film review of the film Psycho. We get a lot of positive feedback, for Eric on that. Oh, Charles in the chat room says, rawtalkonline@yahoo.com. That is where you can send your picture. rawtalkonline@yahoo.com is the email address if you'd like to participate in the costume contest tonight on the Charles Richardson Show. Archer Flight also says, hello, hashtag Jenny Coffee. We say to you from us. Archer Flight is very polite. Archer Flight says, hello, hashtag Matt. We are a pop singing group of Archer Flight. Well, good. Oh, boy. I do enjoy reading these. Okay. Well, welcome, Archer Flight. I say to you, hashtag Archer Flight. Let's see. Our friend Crystal from the state of Illinois just dropped something in the chat room regarding, we were talking earlier about this terrible attack on Paul Pelosi. Nancy's, brain surgery. Well, this is what this says. This is from ABC News 7, Channel 7 in San Francisco. Nancy Pelosi's husband undergoes skull surgery after attack at San Francisco home, sources say. ABC 7 News I-Team sources say Nancy Pelosi's husband, 82-year-old Paul Pelosi, underwent skull surgery today. This comes following an early morning violent attack with a hammer-wielding suspect who police believe targeted their San Francisco home. Now, we talked about that earlier, but I saw something else that kind of gives us an idea of why this guy was attacking an 82-year-old man with a hammer, and it looks like it was what I feared. because when you first hear the story, you don't necessarily know, was it a random attack? Was it somebody just losing their mind? Was it a burglary gone awry? That happens. But no, it sounds like it's exactly what I worried. It was politically motivated. And again, I am very concerned that we're entering an era where this is going to become commonplace. Mediaite reports, Fox News anchor lists Pelosi intruders' MAGA grievances and asks, how do you connect all of that with Nancy Pelosi? Well, I can answer that, but let's see what it says here. Fox News anchor John Roberts provided some information on David DePape, who allegedly broke into Speaker Nancy Pelosi's San Francisco home early Friday morning and attacked her husband, Paul Pelosi, with a hammer. After listing some of the intruders' grievances, which included gripes against the Democratic Party, Roberts seemed perplexed about DePape's motive. The speaker was not home at the time. DePape reportedly shouted, "Where's Nancy?" before the attack. He has been charged with attempted homicide, among other crimes. Paul Pelosi remains hospitalized. Today on America Reports, Roberts reported that DePape grew up in British Columbia before moving to the Bay Area. The anchor said, quote, social media posts included transphobic images, linked to websites claiming COVID vaccines were deadly, the death rates being promoted, or what they want to be promoted as the death rate, one post said. Also posted links to YouTube videos with titles like Democrat Farce Commission to Investigate Jan 6, Capitol Riot Collapses in Congress, Global Elites Plan to Take Control of Your Money. So it looks like we potentially have somebody here who embraced conspiracy theories, unquote. Transgender people, COVID vaccines, and the January 6th committee are frequent targets of right-wing media consumed by supporters of former President Donald Trump. Roberts reported DePape once house sat for a woman who became increasingly disturbed by his behavior, stating that she said he, quote, sounded like a megalomaniac and so out of touch with reality. She said that she stopped communicating with him because he seemed so dangerous, adding she recalled him using biblical justification to do harm, unquote. Fellow anchor Brett Baer said, quote, there you go. I don't think we have to say anything else, unquote. Roberts expressed befuddlement as to DePape's potential motive. He asked, quote, but again, how do you connect all of that with Nancy Pelosi? That's the missing trail of dots here, unquote. Is John Roberts confused? You don't have to connect any of that to Nancy Pelosi. It doesn't matter because these people believe, I mean, first of all, Nancy Pelosi, probably one of the most vilified people ever to serve in Congress, right? I mean, Republicans talk about her like she's the daughter of Satan himself. And a lot of Democrats, frankly, don't like her either, particularly young, progressive-minded Democrats who say she's very old and too old to be in that position. She's been there much too long, and the party needs a change in leadership and so forth. So she is deeply disliked by many, although she is admired by some as well. But it doesn't matter to these conspiracy QAnon, although QAnon wasn't mentioned here, but I'm sure this guy DePape is a QAnoner, of course. It doesn't matter. You just, and Nancy Pelosi, by the way, technically, according to the line of succession, is the third most powerful person in the government, right? After the president and the vice president, she's next in line for the presidency if, God forbid something were to happen. So, but she's also, she's highly vilified. And look, if you're someone who, and I would say too, see, this is what is so dangerous. This is one of the many things that is so dangerous about conspiracy theories. It's not a long drive to get from the election was stolen, even though there's, no evidence. The election was stolen. The Democrats stole the election from Trump. And then to get from that to believing that Democrats are drinking the blood of children in the basement of Comet Pizza or any of this other stuff. Once you see, that's the thing. Once you start with a conspiracy theory and you start to buy in, you just keep on going down that road, right? And the more down the rabbit hole you go, and the more nonsense your confused brain is willing to accept, you end up at, Nancy Pelosi drinks the blood of children, or whatever this freak believes about Nancy Pelosi. That's why this stuff is so dangerous. That's why I've said on the show many times, I used to allow, if conspiracy theorists wanted to interact with the show, sometimes I'd let them come on and kind of spew some of their nonsense and, kind of have some fun with it. I thought it was harmless enough. It's been a while now since I thought that was harmless. You look at what happened January 6th, and that starts with, again, the big lie, as they call it in the media, which I think is an appropriate term, that the election was stolen. That's where that starts, right? And look at the terrible violence that ultimately comes from that, Look what happened in Michigan. They just convicted 3 of those militia dudes who like to cosplay as army men out in the woods, who, were conspiring to kidnap and torture the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. They just convicted 3 of those guys. This is, so it's not, conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists are not as amusing and harmless to me as I used to think that they were. Again, flat earthers probably pretty harmless, but they're just very confused. But none of this is funny to me anymore, and I don't allow it on the show. I just within, I think maybe 6 months ago, there's an individual who has been on the show before, who Jenny and I know, and I think he's a nice person, a nice enough person, but who lives outside the country, who used to, who's been on the show a couple of times over the years, and kind of had a fun conversation, not really buying any of his nonsense. But I remember, I think it was maybe 6 months ago or 8 months ago, he reached out to us, and he hadn't been on the show in a while. He wanted to come on, and we had to say no. I've had to draw some lines. I'm not gonna, and just to be clear, the individual I'm talking about, I'm not gonna say who it is, but the individual that I'm talking about, I don't think would ever harm anyone. As far as I'm aware, has never harmed anyone, and I don't believe that he would. And he's never preached any kind of violence or vigilantism or anything like that. But I just don't want anything to do with any of that anymore. If you're going to communicate with me and interact with the program, at this point, we have to at least exist on the same plane of reality. If you're buying into a lot of nonsense, then we just have nothing to talk about, because I don't even want to give a platform to anything that will lead to something dangerous. Because if you're willing to believe in something that seems mildly crazy, you're probably also perfectly willing to believe in something that sounds dangerously crazy and extremely crazy, and something that is so crazy enough that you're going to be willing to harm others because you're so convinced of this crazy thing that you now believe. I don't want anything to do with that anymore. So we've had to draw some lines. I found myself having to draw certain boundaries anyway with the pandemic. I would hear from people who wanted to come on and talk about how they didn't believe anyone should be vaccinated, or they didn't, or they were skeptical that COVID-19 was real or whatnot. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. I always said, my position has always been clear. If you want to have a policy discussion with me, I'm always up for that. If you want to have a policy discussion about mask mandates or vaccine mandates, or whether, doing shutdowns and things like that, the steps that the government took to mitigate the spread of the virus, whether you think that was good policy, whether you think that should be done in the future if we're in that situation again, or what did we learn from it? Maybe we approach things differently next time, if there is a next time in our lifetimes, and hopefully there isn't, because it seems like this happens about once a century. But I'm always up for a policy discussion. But if you're gonna, if your thing is, you want to come on and talk about how you think COVID is just the flu, or no one should get, I'm not doing any of that. I had to tell some people no. Early in the pandemic, I had to say no to some people. Again, a policy discussion is fine, but if you want to talk about how you think it's, the Democrats are just using it to hurt Trump or whatever, now get out of here with that. Stop. We're not doing that because it's a matter of public health. It's a matter of public health. I, as a broadcaster, feel I would be irresponsible to allow that nonsense on my show. Just like with the conspiracy theory stuff, I've reached a point where I, as a broadcaster, think it would be irresponsible to allow that on my show. Again, and a flat earther seems harmless enough. There's a lot of those. I've met flat earthers who don't believe any other conspiracy theory except that. That's the one totally insane thing they buy into. But even them, it's like, but I don't want to talk to them either because why? Again, we don't exist on the same plane of reality, and you're never going to convince me that the earth is not round. So what do we have to talk about, right? So I just don't want to entertain any of the nonsense anymore. So I choose not to. But I'm increasingly concerned that we are entering or have entered a period where what has happened to Paul Pelosi, that kind of thing, we're going to see a lot more of that going forward. And that is scary. And on that very happy and albeit not terribly optimistic note, we'll begin to wrap up. Thank you again to Otto Kinzel from Dust Prophet for joining us today. And I really enjoyed getting to share the new single with everybody. Thank you again to Eric Pilcher, another great classic film review. And happy anniversary, 1 year of Eric being a part of Matt Connerton Unleashed. So very happy about that. And everyone, please have a safe and happy Halloween weekend. And I'm just laughing at Archer Flight in the chat room. Archer Flight's very nice. I'm saying hello to everybody. That's great. Thank you to everyone who called today and everybody in the chat and all of you. And I'm going to leave you with a little bit more of Dust Prophet. And then don't forget, Granite State of Mind with Rob Azevedo is up next year on WMNH if you're listening live, followed by at 8 p.m. tonight, the 2-year anniversary of Retro Spectrum Radio with Paulie C. So it's a great day here at WMNH 95.3. Archer Flight says, we say hashtag Matt. Have a great weekend. Well, I say to you, hashtag Archer Flight. Have a great weekend. And don't forget to vote for Melanie in the next Face of Horror. All right, here it is. We're going to leave you with Hourglass from Dust Prophet to close out today's Matt Connerton Unleashed. And by the way, if you missed anything, it'll be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org and at my website, mattconnerton.com. I'll talk at y'all a little bit later. Bye, everybody.